I'm from Mississippi, and there, and I noted that, well, historically, Southern leaders have viewed thrift as a Yankee word. It's a Yankee. It's a term of they call it There's a whole literature on this. The thrift is a Yankee virtue. That's bad. That's very bad. And the absence of thrift institutions is dramatic in the South. And I think that's what's dragged down a lot of the numbers in your book. You said the West too. I don't know about the West, but I do know about the South. It's about as not, it is not a culture of thrift. And I've often thought that it was maybe stemmed from the racial issue, because a culture of thrift requires a certain level of communitarian something that was rendered impossible in the South because of, it didn't happen in the South because of the racial, because of Jim Crow and so forth. And so I wondered if, I know that I just wondered how that fits into your analysis about the importance of culture and institutions, because it just seems like the South is this outlying thing where even at the level of the words, it was an ugly, this is not the way we live our life. There was a whole rationale too about it. And anyway, I'll stop there.
That's an interesting question, and in the book I do talk about the South, and I try and make sense of exactly the point that David just raised, that I mean, there are very few savings institutions in the South. It's dramatic, and in my book I have like the percentage of savings accounts over the population, so roughly like how many people in the population have a savings account. And in 1910 in Massachusetts, I think it was or New England, it was something like 54%, and in the 13 southern states, it was about 3.5%, so 54. So it's really dramatic. It's night and day. And so the question is why? I'm not an expert on the American South, so there are limits to my knowledge, but it seemed to me when I tried to put it in a comparative context and think about other countries, what came to mind was exactly what you said, David. There is a lack of what we would call communitarianism, or Europeans would call social solidarity. You don't, in the places that savings is promoted, whether it's in the New England states or it's in other countries, there is a sense on the part of the elites that it's important that everybody in society save, that they plan their lives, that they have, the English would say, have a stake in the country. That, I mean, you worried about them both on compassionate grounds, and if you were in England in the early 19th century, you worried about, well, if the workers didn't have savings and didn't have some sort of financial stake, they might become socialists, they might engage in crime. So in all the places that savings promotion happens, it really starts with the elites realizing they got to set up these institutions that have to serve society at large. And it's not saying that they're wonderful people, but they have a sense of the society. And in the American South after the Civil War, there did not seem to be that sort of consciousness on the part of most Southern elites. And you mentioned race is one of the divides. I mean, in places, I think Mississippi was one of the states that had over 50, in 1910, I think over 50% of the population was African American. Yes. So there was this sense that, of course, savings and citizenship go together, and this was a period when African Americans were being disenfranchised in various ways, from equal education schools, from the vote, and from the savings bank. I mean, it's all part of a piece.
It's public libraries, the whole gamut.
Right, yeah. Right. So there's that. But then there's even a more puzzling question, what about the poor whites? And there also seems to be a problem that the Southern elites didn't seem to really identify with the poor whites either. You really see a lack of density of social institutions, savings simply being one of them. So I tend to agree with you.